Imagine a world shimmering with the allure of private jets, exclusive parties, and opulent hotel suites. A world curated by one of music's most iconic figures. But now, explosive testimonies are ripping through that polished facade, suggesting that behind the velvet ropes and Grammy Awards, disturbing secrets allegedly festered. Recent court proceedings have pulled back the curtain, with rapper Kid Cudi's terrifying ordeal emerging as a chilling centerpiece in a much larger, still unfolding drama surrounding Diddy Combs. The accounts are varied, coming from former lovers, assistants, friends, and even hotel managers, each adding a brushstroke to a portrait of alleged power, control, and intimidation. Kid Cudi, also known as Scott Mescudi, found himself entangled in this high-stakes world through his relationship with Cassie Ventura. He testified that he was in love with her, believing their romance began after her long, tumultuous connection with Diddy had definitively ended. But this belief was apparently shattered when Diddy allegedly discovered their relationship, not through a dramatic confrontation, but through something as mundane as an email on Cassie's phone concerning her toiletry bag left at Cudi's home. The discovery, Cudi recounted, plunged Cassie into a state of sheer panic. She made a desperate call to him, her words urgent, "Come and get me." In an attempt to find a safe haven, Cudi took her to the famed Sunset Marquis Hotel, hoping to stay off Diddy's radar. But finding sanctuary proved to be a fleeting hope, as the situation was reportedly about to escalate, bringing a wave of alleged intimidation directly to Cudi's own doorstep. The illusion of safety was shattered by an alarming late-night phone. Yulise, when on the other end, Cudi testified, was Capricorn Clark, Diddy's own assistant. She was allegedly calling from Cudi's own driveway, her voice conveying distress as she claimed Diddy and an unnamed associate were inside Kid Cudi's house. Clark reportedly told Cudi she had been roused from her bed and forced to accompany them. Furious and bewildered, Cudi immediately called Diddy. "Motherfucker, why are you in my house?" he demanded. Diddy's alleged response was disarmingly calm, almost cryptic. "I just want to talk to you." Cudi raced home, but by the time he arrived, Diddy and his associate were gone. Instead, he found a scene of unsettling violation. His security cameras, normally pointed to cover his property, were inexplicably angled downwards. Inside, Christmas gifts he'd purchased for his family, Chanel items, were ripped open. Perhaps most disturbingly, his beloved dog was found locked inside a bathroom, an experience Cudi said left the animal with lasting trauma, akin to PTSD. The violation of his sanctuary was profound, but according to Cudi's testimony, it was merely a prelude to an even more violent and direct act of alleged retribution. A few weeks later, in January 2012, after a period where Diddy allegedly sent Cudi texts and Cassie had abruptly ended their relationship to reportedly visit Diddy in Arizona, the alleged intimidation reached a fiery crescendo. Cudi testified he was about 45 minutes away from his house when his dog sitter called with shocking news. His Porsche was on fire. A Molotov cocktail, an improvised incendiary device, had apparently been thrown through the vehicle's roof, engulfing it in flames. Recounting his reaction in court to seeing his car destroyed, Cudi candidly stated he thought, "What the fuck?" adding with a perplexing honesty that it was, in a strange way, actually kind of funny. Following this alarming event, Cudi decided a direct confrontation was necessary. He arranged to meet Diddy at the exclusive LA Soho house. Cudi described Diddy's demeanor at this meeting as something out of a movie, recalling he looked like a Marvel supervillain, pacing with his hands behind his back, yet remaining bizarrely calm, even offering Cudi water multiple times. They talked, and Cudi explained he hadn't known Diddy and Cassie were still involved. They shook hands, seemingly resolving the tension. But as their hands were still clasped, Cudi pressed the crucial question. "What about my car?" Diddy's alleged response was chillingly simple and utterly dismissive. "I don't know what you're talking about." This alleged denial cast a long, dark shadow, and Cudi's dramatic testimony of targeted harassment would soon find echoes in the accounts of others who were once deeply embedded in Diddy's inner circle. George Kaplan, a former assistant to Diddy, offered another disturbing perspective from inside this rarefied world. Testifying under an immunity deal reportedly linked to his involvement in drug picking up, Kaplan recounted several troubling incidents. He spoke of being on a private jet with Diddy, Cassie, and a few others when he heard the distinct sound of glass breaking from the rear of the plane where Diddy and Cassie were located. He then heard Cassie's distressed voice allegedly cry out, "Isn't anybody seeing this?" Kaplan claimed Diddy then emerged and instructed people on board not to go back to that area or offer Cassie any assistance. On another occasion, Kaplan testified to a deeply unsettling sight, seeing Cassie on a bed with a visible black eye. He stated he was then instructed to go out and procure witch hazel, an anti-inflammatory, for her injury. This incident, he implied, was a breaking point, prompting him to give his 3 months' notice, though he officially told Diddy it was due to his father's health issues. Kaplan also confirmed a detail that had surfaced elsewhere. He frequently booked Diddy's hotel rooms under the alias Frank Black, a nod to Biggie Smalls' Frank White persona. In a perplexing twist, despite these damning recollections, Kaplan reportedly gave Diddy a respectful head nod as he left the witness stand, later stating he still respected Diddy's drive and felt he still utilized the work ethic Diddy had instilled in him. Kaplan's memories added another layer to the narrative of alleged abuse and control, a theme also starkly illustrated by one of Cassie's closest friends. Mila Morales, a celebrity makeup artist who described her bond with Cassie as being like that of a little sister, shared her own harrowing observations. She testified to hearing a vehement altercation erupt between Diddy and Cassie from an adjoining hotel room just before the 2010 VMAs. The sounds were so alarming that Morales became deeply concerned for her friend's well-being. She recounted instances where she offered Cassie refuge in her own home to escape the allegedly volatile environment. After one particular incident, Morales stated she called a doctor to check on Cassie's head and also connected Cassie with a lawyer friend, though Cassie ultimately chose not to pursue legal action at that time. During cross-examination, reports indicate the defense attorneys focused heavily on Morales' media involvement. They brought up her participation in multiple interviews and 2 documentaries concerning Diddy and Cassie, her alleged sale of photos of Kim Porter for $1,000, and her receipt of $250 from one documentary production, which she stated was reimbursement for therapy. The defense reportedly suggested she had actively solicited further media opportunities, attempting to cast doubt on her motives and credibility. These personal accounts of alleged volatile incidents and desperate interventions began to paint a consistent picture, one that was further colored by more detached yet equally revealing testimony about Diddy's highly specific and demanding lifestyle. The general manager of the prestigious L'Ermitage Beverly Hills Hotel, Frederick Denoy, provided a glimpse into this lifestyle through meticulously kept hotel records. He confirmed the frequent use of aliases for bookings. Diddy was often registered under Frank Black or Frank White, while Cassie Ventura was sometimes booked as Jackie Star. Denoyer's testimony shed light on unusual internal profile notes maintained by the hotel for Diddy. Staff were reportedly instructed to pre-authorize an extra $1,000 on his accounts specifically to cover potential room damages or the necessity for deep cleaning services. The reasons cited for these substantial pre-authorizations were startling. Consistent reports from housekeeping of excessive amounts of oil everywhere and candle wax spilled everywhere, from carpets to nightstands. These messes were apparently so extensive that rooms often had to be taken out of service for prolonged periods to undergo thorough deep cleans. Beyond the damage deposits, the hotel records also detailed Diddy's other preferences: demands for specific items like fruit water and chocolate, and a distinct preference for an unusually high room temperature, consistently set to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Staff members had also made notes on occasion about a strong smell emanating from or near his rooms, a detail left open to interpretation but adding to the overall picture of an unconventional and potentially disruptive presence. With these peculiar lifestyle details adding a strange texture to the proceedings, the court then turned its attention to how investigators were digitally piecing together fragments of the past. Special Agent Joshua Croft, a computer forensics expert with Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, took the stand to explain the intricate process of extracting digital evidence. He detailed his work on 3 of Cassie Ventura's Apple MacBooks, one of which had sustained physical damage, including a CD drive that appeared to have been kicked in or dropped. Agent Croft carefully outlined the chain of custody for these devices and clarified that they were obtained from Cassie with her explicit consent for data extraction. However, he made a crucial distinction regarding one MacBook Air that contained 2 user profiles, a guest user profile and another named Frank Black. While the guest user data was accessed under Cassie's initial consent, Agent Croft emphasized that the data associated with the Frank Black profile was only accessed after investigators obtained a separate search warrant specifically for that user account. He also provided context for why extracted digital communications, such as text messages, might sometimes appear funky or unusual to a layperson, for instance, showing blank messages, duplicated entries, or missing timestamps. He explained that this is a known artifact of certain forensic extraction processes, but assured the court that investigators always refer back to the raw data to verify the accuracy and integrity of the evidence presented. As these varied testimonies methodically built a complex and deeply unsettling narrative, Diddy's legal team was simultaneously working to dismantle these accounts and present compelling counterarguments. The defense actively challenged the narratives presented. During Kid Cudi's cross-examination, they highlighted what they characterized as significant gaps and inconsistencies. They questioned the alleged lack of follow-up from the LAPD regarding fingerprints or DNA from the Molotov cocktail used in the car bombing. In a surprising turn, the defense attorney asserted that DNA found on remnants of the incendiary device actually belonged to a woman, a detail Cudi testified he was unaware of. They also argued that there was no evidence of forced entry during the alleged break-in at Cudi's home, and pointedly brought up Cudi's own admission on the stand that he had at times felt played by Cassie. Similarly, when cross-examining Mila Morales, the defense focused on her media engagements and any financial benefits she might have received, aiming to suggest her testimony could be influenced by a desire for publicity or profit. Amidst these contentious exchanges, the peculiar detail of Diddy's apology to Kid Cudi, offered years later at the very same Soho house where their tense confrontation over the car bombing had occurred, hangs in the air. What did everything truly encompass in that apology? These testimonies, presented under oath, paint a cascade of serious allegations. While compelling and often shocking, it's vital to remember these are accounts given within a formal legal setting, subject to intense scrutiny and vigorous defense. The full story, with all its complexities and nuances, is still emerging. The courtroom has undeniably become an arena for shocking revelations. The convergence of testimonies is powerful. Kid Cudi's detailed account of alleged terror and intimidation, supported by an ex-assistant's claims of witnessing the aftermath of alleged abuse and his involvement in a clandestine lifestyle, close friends' worried interventions and descriptions of volatile outbursts, peculiar hotel records detailing aliases and unusual demands, and the cold, hard data meticulously extracted by forensic investigators. Countering this is a defense team tasked with challenging the credibility of witnesses and offering alternative interpretations of events. The accounts shared paint a profoundly disturbing picture of alleged power dynamics, jealousy, and control, played out against a backdrop of immense wealth and influence. As more details surface from these ongoing proceedings, the public is left to grapple with the unsettling claims against a prominent figure, forcing a wider reevaluation of fame, the influence it bestows, and the dark shadows it can sometimes conceal. The search for truth continues, one testimony, one piece of evidence at a time.